All right, you guys should be live now.
Get started. We can't. Are we ready now?
We are.
Okay. All right. We'll begin the Planning Committee meeting of Akron City Council. Roll call.
Lesko.
Aye. Yes.
Kamer.
Aye.
Swirsky. Baylor.
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
All committee members are present except for Swirsky.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion that we accept the minutes of the last meeting.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You guys have it. Very good. Thank you. We have a couple items that are up for public hearing today. The procedures is that we'll swear in those individuals that wish to testify before the committee. We'll do that this afternoon as well as this evening. We'll also receive a report from the planning department in reference to the, report from the planning department. After that report, we'll then open it up for public hearing for public comment in reference to the conditional use requests. And then after that point, we'll open up to the committee for questions and then the council for questions. That'll be the procedures this afternoon. And we'll basically repeat that this evening at 7 o'clock and invite all those that wish to testify at 7 o'clock as well. So with that, excuse me, I'll ask, is there anyone here? I see a representative from our law department here. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the first? Are we gonna do this item by item? Is that the best way, folks? Or do you want it all together?
We just have two people that have signed up for today's public hearings, and they are both signed up for item number 3. So
Okay.
it's up to you if you want to go ahead and swear them both in, or if you want to wait to get to that item.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just swear everybody in right now. And so if you wish to testify before the committee on any of the items on the agenda today, please be sworn in by a representative of our law department.
Okay, those wishing to speak during the public hearings, please take yourself off of mute and raise your right hand. Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, very good. The first item that's up for a public hearing today is ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct a gasoline service station at 944 Brown Street. Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, Balbir Singh requests permission to add a marathon gasoline service station at this location. The petitioner proposes to demolish the front 40 feet of the existing convenience store building and increase the front yard on the property from the existing 10 feet to 50 feet. A pump island with 3 pumps and a canopy will be added within the front yard between the building and the Brown Street property line. 7 parking spaces are provided on the 944 Brown Street property. 17 additional parking spaces are located on the parcel to the north that will be acquired from Summit County Land Bank. The A2 area district in the zoning code limits the types of uses in the districts to those that are less intensive than gasoline service stations, such as light retail and restaurants. One of the city's goals is to encourage pedestrian-oriented uses in building forms along Brown Street. The Rubber City Heritage Trail for bikes and pedestrians is proposed to pass directly north of this property. The addition of gasoline pumps in front of the retail use takes a building that offers convenient pedestrian access and changes it to a more automobile-oriented configuration. Under the proposed scheme, access to the retail store and laundromat will become more difficult for pedestrians. The entrance to the retail store will be farther from the street, and pedestrians will have to cross vehicular drive aisles to reach it. Finally, an existing Circle K gas station is located 1 block to the south and would seem to adequately serve the gasoline service station needs of this immediate neighborhood. And Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend disapproval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. I'm going to open it up for public comment and open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use requests at 944 Brown Street? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Okay, not hearing anyone. Anyone wishing to speak against the conditional use request at 944 Brown? Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone? Okay, not hearing or seeing anyone either in favor or against. We'll close the public hearing portion of this public hearing, and we'll open it up to committee members should there be any questions or comments. Is there any committee members with comments or questions? Anyone? Oh, yes, Tara, hi. Samples?
Hi. So I attended the Planning Commission meeting on this proposed location. And I have spoken with several of the residents in that community over there, and they are totally against this fuel station. I've been by there quite a few times myself. It doesn't make any sense how they would want to put gas pumps in the little alleyway of the parking lot, and they have a laundromat there, and I think they have maybe some slot machines as well. They never reached out to the residents in that community, so that's always my first concern, is when you circumvent the people who actually live in that neighborhood, and that's what they did. The only contact that the residents in that neighborhood had with them was them putting flyers on their doors telling them that they were opening up a gas station. There was never a meeting with those residents. There was never a conversation with those residents. If the residents don't support it, and I would have to say that I am totally against this as well, because I represent them and they are totally against this being there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley Samples. Is there any other questions or comments from any committee members? Any whatsoever? Okay, any council members have any questions or comments? Anyone on council have any questions or comments? Very good. Not seeing or hearing anyone. We'll now move on to the second item, which, by the way, we are going to, it was withdrawn by the petitioner. So therefore, we're just going to skip over number 2 and go into number 3, which is the next item that is up for a public hearing, which is the ordinance authorizing conditional use to expand a restaurant, The Corral, and construct a new retail building at 1006 South Arlington Street. Mr. Antonucci, can you please?
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. James Brooks is the owner of the Corral Restaurant and parking area on the west side of South Arlington Street, north of North Firestone Boulevard. Petitioner is requesting to expand his existing restaurant to the west, along with constructing a separate retail building to the north. The petitioner originally brought this proposal before the Planning Commission on November 16th, 2018. Although the planning staff recommended approval, the Planning Commission at that time recommended disapproval. Subsequently, City Council filed a diverse report at that time. The existing Corral Restaurant comprises 1,447 square feet of area and is sited at the southwest corner of the property. The petitioner proposes to raise the northernmost portion of the building. A new 725 square foot addition would be built on the western elevation of the structure. The total size of the structure would comprise 2,030 square feet and be sited 40 feet from the west property line. Construction materials will consist of vertical siding to match the existing building. A drive-up window will be sited on the south side of the addition along North Firestone Boulevard. Additionally, a new 66 feet by 40 foot in depth retail building will be constructed 14 feet to the north of the existing restaurant. The new retail building will consist of 3 equal-sized storefronts. Construction materials will include face brick, hardy board, siding, stone veneer, and a standing seam metal roof. The northernmost storefront will contain a centrally located drive-up window. This would be on the north elevation. The site plan indicates 13 angled parking spaces along South Arlington, 5 spaces along Austin Avenue, and 4 spaces to the east of the new building for a total of 22 off-street parking spaces. Landscaping is depicted along South Arlington and Austin Avenue. One goal of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan is to promote the preservation and revitalization of viable business districts by providing viable shopping areas with room for businesses to expand their facilities and promoting good design standards for buildings, signage, and parking areas. The Corral Restaurant was built in 1950, and expansion will allow for a larger kitchen area and drive-up window. The northern portion of the lot is currently a vacant paved lot. The proposed new retail building will enhance this older business area. The angling of the parking spaces and one-way interior traffic flow should minimize confusion and promote better circulation. In order to buffer the retail activity from residential properties to the west, however, a 6 feet solid wooden fence would be installed along the western property line. Planning staff is of the opinion that the proposed development and improvements will enhance the property. Office of Integrated Development and planning staff recommend approval. Planning Commission recommends disapproval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing and ask if there's anyone wishing to speak in favor of this conditional use request. You can please step forward and please provide for the committee your name and address. Anyone who's in favor of the conditional use request at 1006 South Arlington Street, if you could please provide for us your name and address.
I have a Mr. Brooks that registered. Can you hear us,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes, I'm here. I'm new at trying to understand how this stuff works. But yes, excuse me. I agree with Mr. Antonucci on everything that he said. That is my proposal, period. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Brooks. Any other comments? Good.
Not at this point.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this conditional use request? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone? Okay. Now I'll ask if there's anyone wishing to speak against this proposal at 1006 South Arlington Street.
Yes, my name is Stephen Papora, and I live at 970 Alston Avenue. And I've lived here in this area 26 years, and I'm against it.
Okay.
And I'd like to read my statement, which the whole board or the council has received, just so it's for the record.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to state, first, I got this letter about this rezoning issue November 13th. And then the following week, I got a letter saying I only had so much time to the 28th of December for any of the information be considered. I mean, it's a very short time frame for any of my neighbors or myself to react. I know 2020 has been very difficult for everyone. The main contention here is the mayor wants to increase the city population at the same time increase business and tax revenue, but both are very conflicting. By increasing business here in this neighborhood, he's going to destroy the neighborhood and chase residents out. By rezoning the 2 lots that have been residential over 100 years, again, it's going to destroy the neighborhood. Some of you council people will remember me from last time. I don't want to rehash everything from 3 years ago, but I want to stress the main point. Rezoning will only hurt the neighborhood and not enhance it. Mr. Brooks is a bad businessman and land property owner, as he's had 64 calls to his last 2 businesses in the last 5 years, one being a bar and one being a restaurant on Old South Main. His meter has been red tagged down here at the bar on Old South Main Street. So I don't know if he's out of business period or didn't pay his utilities. He has the perfect business to print money here in the COVID by keeping his drive-in restaurant open, but why did he shut it down in March? And I'd like him to answer that question when I'm finished. But if he can't make this business as a drive-in drive up, order your food from your car, or call in and drive up to pick up your food. How's he going to make it work when the COVID situation's over? I brought this up in the November planning meeting that he has not emptied his dumpster since March and still has not as of this to date. How many of us do not take our trash out for 9 months? I'm not going to rehash everything I said before. His drive-through lane will be 9 feet from my bedroom window, 9 feet from my son's bedroom window. A 6-foot solid wood fence is not going to protect my family. I'll definitely have a fire with the mulch, my mulch beds that line both sides of my house as well as the front, with the cigarette being flicked over the fence, and the dry mulch beds, or during the winter when my dry ornamental grasses before I cut them down in the spring. I hear enough gunfire. Last thing I need to do is have more crime and noise and traffic in this neighborhood. There'll be times Austin Avenue isn't wide enough to accommodate his Austin Avenue only entrance of the drive-through exiting on North Firestone Boulevard. We already have enough people driving 50 miles an hour in a 25 speed limit residential neighborhood. There'll be times I won't be able to pull in my own driveway, turning off Arlington, as what happens at the Popeye's Chicken. They have people backed up onto Arlington as well as Palmetto, the side street. I'll have the same issue here. I don't know how people are going to be able to drive during the winter, as my street, Austin, I'm lucky to get plowed once every 2 years. What has changed here? Mr. Brooks shut down a perfect business for during COVID. He hasn't I've had to cut his side yard next to my house 5 times, and I sent you pictures on that. He hasn't maintained his property nor other properties he owned in Akron. Again, he had the perfect business stay open. He closed it down, hasn't emptied the dumpster. He still has large sections of cut trees that remain on the south side of the property. The health department had issues trying to get a hold of him to do inspections. Mr. Brooks had 2 gentlemen knock on my door the first time we went through this 2.5 years ago, as well as I find a third man in my backyard threatening me. So this is going to enhance my neighborhood and the safety of me and my children and neighbors. When I asked Mr. Brooks' sister his phone number so I could talk to him, as the third gentleman said that Mr. Brooks has been trying to reach out to me and has not. I try to reach out to him only to be threatened by his sister's male friend. Crime is up, shooting is up. I called the police twice today on a business across the street as a guy passed out in his vehicle at 5:30 in the morning. Woke me up. Cops never responded. 2 calls in 45 minutes. I'm definitely going to have more issues than business across the street on the other side of Arlington, which the cops can't even address. So how am I going to have this issue? So again, the 30 days, 40 days I had to respond to this is not enough. I wish City Council would delay this so I can get enough signatures, because people won't answer their doors with the holidays, the COVID, the weather, and they definitely won't answer their doors underneath the after dark. And that's all I have to say, Councilman.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak against this proposal at 1006 South Arlington Street? Anyone else wishing to speak against? Anyone? Okay, very good. We'll close the public hearing portion of this particular public hearing, and we'll open it up to any committee members that may have a question. I see Mr. Kamer's hand is up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll go ahead and begin with a rough explanation about what happened 2 years ago for some of the newer council members. Back in, obviously, Mike Antonucci mentioned back in November 2018, this was brought to council. I did oppose the project then. Obviously, last time in 2018, I did speak to the petitioner, Mr. Brooks, and Mr. Papora, who's in opposition. This time, I have not spoke to Mr. Brooks about his plans, but I have spoke to Mr. Papora. Moving forward, I think it's in my best interest is not to support this. Over the roughly about 2 months now, I had numerous phone calls and emails from residents that live around this address, the corral. I know Mr. Papora has been going door to door, knocking on doors. So I have residents giving me a call, let me know how they feel, giving me their opinions, suggestions. I do want to state for the record that I do think some of the residents I have spoke to, I think are misled by Mr. Papora's statements. But like I said, moving forward, I do think obviously with the phone calls and the emails that I have received, and with the petitioner not reaching out to me, I would not be in favor of this right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Kamer. Thank you. Any other committee members have any questions whatsoever, comments? Ms. Mosley Samples?
Thank you, Councilman Fusco. This question is for Mr. Brooks. Since the last time this came before us up until this present date, have you made any efforts to talk to the residents in that neighborhood close by in proximity? Have you went door to door to try to talk to any of them? Because it seems like that hasn't happened.
Yes, I had a representative, Carson Barnes, go door to door, and most people were favorable. Mr. Pora, he's about the only one that I know. He claimed he has a lot of signatures. I never seen any of them, because we're talking to the same people, and most people I talk to are in favor of them. Especially we see all of the activity up and down Arlington Street, you know, new restaurants by Akron Square, a new one up there on Waterloo Road, smaller pieces of property that's getting stuff done. I just can't understand why I couldn't. And only person that's I see that's in the way is the disgruntled neighbor using the N-word when I do send people up there trying to do work.
Very good. Any further questions, Samples?
I would just encourage you to reach out to the residents in that community. We have received a lot of emails with signatures on council, so they are aware of the project. So I would encourage you in your future endeavors over there to reach out to those residents, because I mean, if this is going to affect where they live at and they're coming and going and them feeling secure and safe in their neighborhood, that's up to you, the business owner, to reach out to them. If you feel Mr. Pimpora, hopefully I'm saying that right, is telling them adverse things, and I think that you should probably reach out to those residents. And that concerns me that so many of them said they've not spoken to you as well as the ward representative over there. And because of that, I cannot support this. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Ms. Samples. Okay, very good. Is there any other questions or comments from any committee members? Any council members have any questions or comments? I'm not seeing anyone at this time. So I will invite both the petitioner and Mr. Papora. I'll invite you back this evening at 7 o'clock. We are going to repeat the process in terms of conducting a public hearing. You'll have an opportunity to speak at that time. So we'll invite you back at 7 o'clock this evening. Thank you for being here. We'll move on to the balance of the agenda, of which I'm going to recommend time short of any questions or concerns or comments. And we'll move into the new list of legislation. The first item that's up under the new list of legislation is item number 3, which is an ordinance authorizing a second amendment to the 2019 Consolidated Plan and Community Development Home Program to include the Community Development Block Grant and Emergency Solutions Grant Program COVID-19 stimulus funds as an eligible activity, authorizing the Director of Planning and Urban Development to enter into all necessary agreements for the operation and term of the activities, and declaring an emergency. This is up for public hearing on January 11th. All those in favor of public hearing signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The ayes have it, of course. The next item is item number 4, which is the ordinance conditional use to construct an addition at 1575 Vernotum. This item is also scheduled for a public hearing on January 25th. All those in favor of a public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. 5 is ordinance to construct 190-foot monopole telecommunications tower at 596 Beacon Street. This is up for a public hearing as well on February 1st. All those in favor of that public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, the ayes have it. Okay, very good. Short of that, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. The next public hearing will be the next committee meeting will be the Public Service Committee meeting, and that'll be at 2:00 today. Those committee members are Samples, Kamer, Swirsky, Lombardo, and McKittrick. So we're going to end the meeting and we'll come back at 2:00. Thank you.